Hey, third grade. So we are going to do just a quick review for health. And then you have quiz 6 today. So I want to just quickly go through some things because I feel like between quiz 5 yesterday, you and like this, you know your stuff. We've gone through this quite a bit, and I feel like you know your health or your safety parts of it. So first thing, there's just some questions I just want to ask. Why should you never go back into a burning building? Why should you never go back into a burning building? One of the things is you may not be able to get out again. That fire could get so much worse, and you may end up getting trapped. So you should never go back into a burning building. What 2 things should you say when calling to report a fire? So if you're calling because there was a fire that you're seeing or a fire in your own house, what are the 2 things you need to say? Tell your name, tell what kind of an emergency, name and address, and what kind of an emergency it is. Okay, because just, you're calling 911. 911 is, a dispatch for everything. So they need to know, is it that somebody is sick and on the floor and having a tough time? Is it a fire, or is it, something worse? Is it a shooting? They need to know. So you need to tell what the emergency is and then tell your name and address. And you need to do it calmly. What should you do if your clothes ever catch on fire? Stop. Drop and roll. Okay, stop, drop, and roll. You and your friend want to ride bikes. What are some things you need to remember to be safe? You should have already had your bike checked, because you get it checked every week. Make sure an adult is with you. Always wear a helmet. What else? Ride, if you're riding on the street, on the right side with traffic, and then make sure to use the right hand signals, the proper hand signals, right? So left turn, right turn, slow down or stop. Practice those. Left turn, it's just pointing to your left. Right turn means, oh, I'm going this way. So instead of going and being awkward, you just do here. And then for slow down or stop, just put your hand down, like, I'm slowing down. So that's what it is. Know those hand signals. Your friend comes over to do some research for a project you are working on for school. You need to use the internet. What things should you remember to keep safe? Never give out any personal information. Should not be giving out anything personal, your age, where you live, phone number, none of that information. Also, right, you should have an adult there with you so that they're able to, to be there to help you if something does go wrong. And then if something comes up that makes you feel uncomfortable, you go right to the adult, okay? Why is it important to practice safety procedures? That way you are protecting yourself and others from being hurt, and that's a very important thing. So we talked about that. What are some ways that, or what is the main way that we protect ourselves? By being aware. We've said that over and over and over again. The best way to stay safe is by being aware. Okay, we need to stay aware, being able to recognize what is going on around you, and when you do that, you can protect yourself and others. So we talked specifically about home safety, because and that was our last thing that we talked about. Where do most accidents happen? Most accidents happen at home. More accidents there than anywhere else. And what is the most common cause of home accidents? It's falls, because people fall. What are some of the reasons that they fall? There's loose rugs, right? Things out of place. Very good. We said slippery floors, okay? Those are many of the reasons why people get hurt, because things are not in place. There's loose rugs, slippery floors, or standing on chairs to reach high places. All of that, those are reasons why that becomes a problem. If there is a tornado warning, what is the safest place to go? The basement is the safest place to go. Well, Ms. Monroe, I don't have a basement. Don't worry, neither do I. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go in the closet. Now, again, I think I mentioned this the other day because people have said, you know, I got in my bathtub, put a mattress over top of me, and, you know, the house, you know, blew around me, but I was fine in the bathtub. So get inside somewhere safe, away from windows, and that's the best thing that you can do. So we talked about that. And then with lightning, remember we said lightning storms, the lightning can strike what? 5 to 10 miles away from the storm. So you need to get inside when there's a thunderstorm and there's a storm going on around you. Plan for those indoor activities. What causes most fires? Just people being careless, right? Carelessness, playing with matches, playing with lighters, playing with candles, things that you shouldn't be playing with. What should your family have in case of a fire? They should have an emergency plan. Yes, an emergency plan so that you'll know where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do, so that everybody can do the same thing in an organized manner. That way people aren't just running around the house. Where are you? Where are you? I'm here. Stop running. Well, I'm trying to find you. Well, I'm trying to find you. And you'll just be chasing each other around the house. Have a plan. Now, are you by the tree that we told you to stay at? Oh, that's right. Stay right here. Stay by this tree, even though it's a scary time. That's why you need to have a plan, because in a time like that, your brain is just thinking, run, and you could go down the street and, you know, out into who knows where, and your parents are thinking you might still be in the house. That's very dangerous. So try to have a plan so that you'll know. Because when it happens, it's kind of too late to try to figure out what to do, because the nerves are kind of going. But if there is a fire, you need to, we said, call 911, give your name and address, and tell what the emergency is. There's a fire. My name is so-and-so. My address is, and there's a fire that's at my house, or there's a fire at, you know, a neighbor's house. They, you know, I don't know exactly where they live, but like I'm across the street from them, and this is my address number, whatever. Okay. But you need to speak clearly and calmly so that they know what's going on. But if your clothes catch on fire, then you need to stop, drop, and roll. If a firefighter comes in, do not hide from them. Call out to them so that they know where you are, so they can rescue you. That's very important. Let's see. Then we talked about internet safety. You should always be near an adult or parent when you are on the internet. And then if you are uncomfortable by something that you see or something that somebody's asking you, then you go to that adult and you say, this is making me uncomfortable. What should I do about it? And that can be solved for you. That's a good thing. When there's a gun and you happen across a gun, what should you not do? Don't touch it. Then what should you do? Go tell an adult, okay? Leave that area. So don't touch it. Tell an adult so that they know. We talked about home security. And if you have a home security system, being able to know how to set it, but keeping yourself locked in and never answering the door, okay? If you know, for strangers, if it's somebody knocking on the door and you don't recognize them, or, you know, if your parents aren't there and they say don't go to the door, and somebody's knocking and banging, it doesn't matter. Like, don't answer that door. Just keep the door locked and closed. And if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like somebody's like making all that noise and maybe going to be a danger to you, then get on the phone with 911 and tell them somebody's knocking on my door and I don't know who it is. It's better to be safe than sorry. So that's something important that you need to do. When an emergency comes, the biggest thing that we need to do is stay calm. Remember that. Let's see. Okay, that was it. So what about bicycle safety? When you're riding your bike, what do you need to remember? Always wear a helmet. Very good. Ride on the street, because the sidewalk is for pedestrians, and we need to be very careful of pedestrians so that we are not running them over or making them feel uncomfortable. What about swimming? We never ever swim alone. If you don't know how to swim, do not go in the deep end. Stay in the on the shallow side. Yeah, I think that's it. We've gone through everything that you should probably need to know for the quiz. And then most of that, I was going to say much and most at the same time, most of that is also what you'll see on your test as well. So be prepared, review over these things, but that's what you're going to do. So quiz 6, put your name and date at the top because that's what you're going to be doing next. So I just reviewed with you all of these things that you might need to know. Section 1 is fill in the blank. Choose the correct word or phrase from the box below and write it in the blank. Spell it correctly so I don't have to take off points because it's right there for you. So spell it correctly. Then section 2, true or false. Spell those correctly as well. If the statement is true, write true. If the statement is false, write false in the blank. Read the whole sentence carefully to make sure you are understanding what it's asking so that you're not making mistakes. Then section 3, label. It shows you some of these, things. I'm not going to do them for you, but shows them to you. So make sure you know your signals for your riding a bike. And you should already know those because I just sat here and, did the whole little funky chicken arm thing for you, okay? So make sure that you remember those, think those through, and that's it. That's your quiz. And then you'll be all set for your test tomorrow. So it's a good size test. Make sure that you know like safety tips. Know what happens when you're, we talked about when there's an animal, what to be aware of, when there's when you're in public, what are some things that you need to know? When you're around water, what is the safety procedure? When you're in a storm, what is the procedure for crossing the street? What are some things you should remember about crossing the street? So think of safety tips. So say, this is what I would think about when you're doing that safety tip section on your test on Friday. I would think, what is the important thing that I would want to tell a friend or a little brother or sister? You sit a little brother and sister down, they're like, what did you do in health or safety class today? Well, we learned that, this is what, when fire, this is what these are. And then you don't have to list all of them, but take one safety tip, something that maybe stuck out to you from crossing the street, fire, when you're riding your bike, when you're walking on the street, whatever. I'm just giving a bunch of examples, but it will give you, I think it gives you like 5 different things to talk about. So just go through and be able to list off one safety tip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, so they give you 5, but there were many that we did. We talked about how to, be in a parking lot, how to be in your house when it's lightning, and how to be in your house with a home security and not opening the door, and the safety when you're riding a bike or when you're playing on a playground or when you are using the internet or whatever. So whatever they're asking for, think of one tip that you could share that is an important one that stuck out to you. That's all that is, okay? So that's what it is, just a review. So hopefully you are ready for that test. It is open book too, so that'll be helpful. But I'm hoping you won't have to use it that much, your book that much, because that knowledge, I want it here so that it carries through for your life so that you won't forget these things. All right, well, do well on the quiz, and then you'll do really well on the test tomorrow as well. All right, I'm so proud of you, and I love you so much, and I'll see you soon.